Tactical, slow-paced, realistic, eerie. A game where having knowledge of realistic firearms handling or terminal ballistics meant life or death differences. A game where one could spend hours lost in the jungle where slow, methodical tactics would be required for survival. A game which perfectly replicated the experience of a private military contractor thrust into a conflict zone. This was the experience I expected from this game. This wasn't what I got. What I got was, completely surprisingly, maybe something better. See, I played 60 hours of this game over a week of pre-alpha testing, and this, right here, was the crux of that experience.
There's a squad of 4 at Hunter's Paradise at this very moment in time, and I'm going there, and I'm going to die.
I'm getting intel of an enemy squadron attacking Hunter's Paradise in heavy numbers currently.
Oh, okay. Some inside intel, I like that. Maybe we should venture there.
Yes.
We could use, I think that we could use some Crimson backup. I've just called in a chopper to Foxtrot 2 if anybody wants to come along.
All right, let's do it.
That right there is possibly the most brilliant part of Gray Zone Warfare. It's why, in a game with an open world and a predominant focus on PvE, I was able to get into squad versus squad PvP battles that, and this is not an exaggeration, lasted sometimes upward of 3 or 4 hours. It's why, in a game with server crashes, GPU crashes, Unreal crashes, or a special combo meal of all 3, and the game crashed. I would instantly log back in and get into the action as quickly as I could. It's why I logged 60 hours in a game that's as unfinished as this, by far the longest I've ever played a game that is still in pre-alpha. Without a shadow of a doubt, whatever this game has right now is fun. The current loop offered by Gray Zone Warfare is one of the most replayable and engaging loops I've seen in a very long time, especially for a game so early into development. But I'm not entirely sure that it's the loop the game intended. When I played an early pre-alpha restricted test of Gray Zone Warfare months ago, I withheld any judgment about the game's core loop. I simply hadn't experienced it in any way that was worth discussing above a surface level. While the game is in an utterly subject to change state, I have now essentially played what will be, at least feature set-wise, the early access scope of the game. I now feel like I can really tear apart what is good, bad, or inconsistent, what this game is, will, and could be. Can a game be both fully tactical, realistic, and at the same time fun, casual, and addicting? Can this game fill the hole in the industry for a deep and intricate player versus environment open world tactical shooter game, while also scratching the itch for PvP that many need to get their blood flowing? What does this game want to be, and can it be achieved? Let's talk about it all right now. If one wants to play Gray Zone Warfare like, say, Ghost Recon, taking their sweet time, being extremely intentional about every single enemy encounter, avoiding PvP as a lone wolf, it's actually all very possible. I attempted to solo one of the most difficult areas in the map currently with a bolt-action sniper, and it was a very engaging, yet at times frustrating, experience. Okay, freaking god, my lungs, dude, that actually annoys me a bit. If one wants to play the game like, say, Rust, teaming up with a group to hit the military base repeatedly, acquiring high-end ammo to force PvP at a high-traffic area, they can absolutely do so.
There's PvP over next to Tomo and Stone.
Do we need to go back them up? We should go back them up.
They're fighting my friend Jesse. He's a part of the Mithrish. Jesse Kazam?
Wait, are you
No,
a
not
secret
Jesse
agent?
Kazam. No.
Wait, how do you know? We've been saying that.
Intel.
Wait,
no.
how does he know?
Intel in my.
We have more pressing matters than internal struggle. Before I get further, I think that this is an important point to make. In its current state, it is quite possible to play the game in both ways. If one is tired of PvP, they can at any point decide to go for a lesser trafficked area. If they're eager to get in fights, they can push for a point of interest or simply ask a faction member where the PvP is at and go straight there. If they're really frustrated and just want a task, they can hop over onto the PvE only servers and truly just kick back and go to town in any way that they want. When you are killed, your lootable body remains on the map. If you die to AI, you can gear up, return to the location, and recover your stuff. If you die in PvP, you will likely immediately return to that location and contest it, beginning, like I said before, potentially an hours-long faction-on-faction war. Gear fear is not really a thing in this game. With the way helicopters work, with the fact that you as the player never leave the playable open world when on a server instance, this game has traded out a degree of stress, loss, and intensity for replayability. This is the fastest-paced, slow-paced game I have ever played. The degree to which the game is fun, casual, and accessible was quite surprising to me considering the niche that it seemed to initially be going for. It was a shock to me, for example, that content creators and fans of games like Call of Duty DMZ, Escape from Tarkov, or Rust seem to enjoy the game instantly and intuitively for its fast-paced PvP. That wasn't how the game was marketed, nor was it the target audience that the game seems to have been developed for. Grayzone Warfare seems to have the potential, in my opinion, to have fallen prey to a fate which befell games like the aforementioned Tarkov or Rust, that they inadvertently created a loop which was highly enjoyable to a group of people or playstyle the game wasn't originally trying to deliver to. The game, thusly, in my opinion, has 3 options. First, by taking advantage of the game's current momentum, they can lean into the loop which was present in the April 2024 test, the loop which will likely be present for early access, one where PvP is highly cyclical and easy to engage in, where the game has a pace which gets you back into the action quick. It'll be silly, fun, and potentially extremely toxic. The upside? Popularity, streamability, and in my opinion, a community which will yearn for a focus balanced around PvP and accessibility. Fun first, immersion and realism second. Camping will be rampant, ganking and cheesing PvP strategies will become widespread. Kits will flow fast and freely, many streamers will love it, the game will likely in turn become more popular than it might originally have intended to be, and those people who wanted to focus on the story and the PvE will play on the PvE-only servers. Second option, they can lean far away from the PvP, more so to the tone people expected from the game's initial announcements. They can drastically de-incentivize the player versus player interactions, making it brutally punishing to die. Faction-based and landing zone mechanics could be entirely reworked. The game's design could focus more on tactical gameplay options, more keybinds, motions, and control of the player character could be implemented. Further expansion on the map could focus the game entirely around that PvE interaction. The AI, given enough time, could be given a full Metal Gear Solid-like treatment with complex pathing and personality. As a whole, the game would have PvP as a constant threat, but an unrewarding one. The game will likely be a far more niche title, drawing a primarily milsim or single-player tactical shooter audience. Most streamers would stray away from it, the niche community would love it. And then, there's the third option, the most difficult to achieve, and yet in my opinion, the correct path. Ride the line between military simulation and casual open-world shooter. Take the best from the PvE design and elevate it. Take the worst from the PvP and make it borderline impossible. The PvP would be engaging, rewarding, and easy to avoid. PvE would be a constant reality and one players could focus on entirely if PvP isn't their thing. There were emergent moments provided by the ease of player interaction in this test that need, in this case, to be leaned into, and there were utterly broken and downright stupid, exploitable elements which ruined the game's ability to truly feel hardcore, realistic, or grounded in a way which would feel meaningful in the long term. I truly believe that this line can effectively be walked. Let's break down the specific elements of design that will help the game do so. Fans in the online community voiced the sentiment repeatedly during this test. Why market this game through streamers? Why were so many Escape from Tarkov content creators given keys? It's an important topic to discuss. To my knowledge, no one was ever paid or even urged to talk about this game. The people who have played up until now are all people who initially showed interest in it and requested to be involved. It is because so many streamers and content creators took part in this playtest that player versus player combat was so widespread. It's what viewers want to see. It revealed as well how easy the PvP was to exploit. Two topics became a widespread point of contention: LZ camping, either infill or exfil, and forward operating base raiding. The latter is a planned mechanic in the game. The FOB is part of the living map, and while friendlies inside cannot kill each other, enemy players can move near it and kill the unsuspecting PMCs inside. Why is this problematic? Base raiding exists in plenty open world games, right? Well, because this isn't a survival game. Because the FOB is equivalent to a stash screen. When players spawn into a server, they spawn in here, in this patch of grass. Any player sitting on the hillside can take the hat off a freshly spawned player at 200 yards and potentially the first time that player has ever logged into the server that day. Having done this twice, once on the first day of the test and again on the last, the developers have already begun to rework systems, and those reworks are felt. AI PMCs guarding the FOB are now geared with some of the highest tier weapons, ammo, and kit, and respawn extremely quickly. This fix, while a temporary one implemented in about a day or two, caused its own problem actually. Oh wait, no dude, we did get raided, look, and I didn't even, oh my god! Dead AI PMCs killed by the enemy faction were lootable, meaning if you successfully cleared your FOB of the enemy, there were now dozens of extremely high-level kits just lying around for the taking, to an absurd degree, actually. In the future, the devs plan to implement real-time quests, so-called. If an enemy team attacks your team's base, an emergency call will alert all PMCs in the faction, no matter where they are on the map, and give them a special quest to eliminate the threat and kill all enemy PMCs in that area. For this, they'll be rewarded in some way. By implementing this system, buffing AI PMC guards and making them only lootable by attacking players rather than those whose faction they belong to, the idea of a FOB raid becomes less exploitable, less cheesy, but still a part of the game. Not necessarily incentivized or easy. Not your first choice, not by a long shot, but present as an option. This is, I think, emblematic of exactly the type of design choices that MFG should make when addressing aspects of Gray Zone warfare that turn the game from a tactical immersive shooter into a goofy PvP fest. Camping a location, attacking a FOB, killing a player who is deboarding a helicopter. These are all moments which should be possible in the game. Possible if you choose so, but not so easy that they are the first thing that any player does. Let's take LZ camping. I won't lie, LZ camping is so easy, so intuitive, that you would end up doing it without even trying. Helo, helo. Enemy helo, enemy helo. Enemy chopper coming in right now, enemy chopper.
Uh-oh, don't do it, don't do it.
Uh-oh, no, 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 uh-oh.
That's fucked up. That's so
Crimson for life! Crimson! Crimson! Okay, so sometimes I was trying, but that's the point. I'm not actually that kind of player in most games. I can't camp in a game like Tarkov or DayZ or Hunt Showdown. I simply don't have the patience or the interest in ruining other people's experiences.
Bro, really? Just spawn camp and just go ahead and kill me so I can get into this game. Really, dude? They're literally just spawn camping. I'm gonna call it their chat. There's clearly something flawed with the game.
Camping was so easy to do in this game, you would end up effectively camping an LZ by proxy of simply playing the game normally. Essentially everyone who did play it during this test, I think, would agree. By returning the ability for PMCs on helis to defend themselves, the first thought a player on the ground has when they hear one might not be, well, I'd better rush there and kill them before they can kill me. This, as well as allowing several landing locations rather than just one within an LZ, would turn the helicopter LZ system into what it truly should be. A mode of transportation, a way to return to the action quicker while putting oneself at a slight risk. How they were when I played in its pre-alpha test state, LZ's helis were the PvP, and not, and this is important, in a way that felt intentional. So, let's take a step back here. Imagine this. You're out with your squad in the jungle, bringing a tracking device to a bandit outpost where you need to plant it and collect evidence. On the way, you take out some lower-level pirates on a patrol and avoid a convoy of military as they pass through the outskirts of a town on their way towards their outpost near Ground Zero. A helicopter flies overhead. You check your Blue 4 tracker, it's not one of yours. You and your squad hit the deck, hugging the bushes so snipers on the bird can't spot you. After it passes, you move on and secure your target, and as quickly as you can, move towards a landing zone. Using your GPS, you pick an exfil location just out of earshot of a nearby military camp. 7 minutes till pickup. You dig in and wait. But just your luck, there's rustles in the bushes. An enemy squad out of nowhere. They were on the way to raid that nearby camp and capture it for their faction. You know that if they have a foothold in this section of the jungle, they will make traversal near important POIs far more difficult for your side. You decide to engage. You take one by surprise and drop him, but the other two zero your location far quicker than you expected. You lose most of your squad, and falling back for dear life, you move away from the LZ. You put out the SOS on the global faction channel for backup and quickly disappear into the jungle. You'll need to rotate far closer to the Forbidden Zone than you'd like, but the only other option is to go straight through the enemy. Near the mountains, you're suddenly battered by wind and you feel like you hear voices. You know an anomaly like this can't physically hurt you, but alone out here, that fact does not help your nerves. The 300 or so millisieverts that you're soaking up by even being this far central doesn't help. Eventually, you make it to a more remote location and call the bird. He's halfway to you, but he reroutes across the jungle to pick you up here. You can finally relax a bit. By the time that you're back at the FOB, have turned in your tasks to traders, your buddies have re-geared and are halfway back across the island to what has erupted into full-scale faction-on-faction combat where your squad died with both sides calling for reinforcements. Well, you can't rightly leave your guys to go and fend for themselves. You grab a couple other boxes of ammo, bottles of water, and you're right back out there. This is what I imagine this game could be. I fictionalized a scenario that, given time, could very literally take place in Gray Zone Warfare. I added details to some features that I know are planned in the game, like factions being able to capture and control military or bandit camps, multiple landing locations within a single LZ sector, and AI convoys or patrols. I also mentioned details that I'd personally like to see, like the ability to reroute a little bird mid-flight. With a focus on player versus environment interactions that feel meaningful and rewarding enough that PvP encounters naturally come about by proxy, this game could very literally be the ultimate PvEVP tactical modern military shooter experience. I'm even totally on board with PvP becoming a regular and exciting part of the game. Like I said back at the beginning, that faction camaraderie was an aspect of it that I didn't expect but enjoyed the most of anything that I experienced in the game thus far. In a way, that's the best support that I could give for the game. Every issue that I had with it felt fixable, tweakable, something that, given time, could be reinterpreted, reworked, or removed entirely to support a cleaner version of what niche this game could fall into, or even better, create for itself. Something that sets Madfinger Games apart from other tactical shooter indie devs is not just their passion, but their willingness to sacrifice their pride in order to make decisions. The team is small and dedicated now, and seeing what they've accomplished in the incredibly short amount of time the game's been in development continues to impress me. What is actually more impressive, though, is how open they seem to be to fundamentally changing aspects of their game that aren't working, aren't fun, or aren't building the game in the direction that it should be. The developers fundamentally won't be able to please everyone. If they try to, they'll fail. But I do have evidence that they are ready, willing, and able to take criticism or advice from the community, work that information through their own needs, capabilities, and intentions, and come out the other side as stronger devs making a better game. GCW has a long ways to go before it'll truly feel like that little story that I just told, but seeing the ungodly speed at which the developers both respond to and implement features based on feedback, I do legitimately have zero doubt that they could make happen basically anything that they want, if it is the direction that they want to go. Until those days come, I'll say this: the game is just fun. So if it does feel like a game that you'd like, have fun with it. And let me tell you, I just cannot wait for nighttime. Thanks for watching.